po ba nung bibigyan ng brief background of yung organization ng ninyo?
Okay, the organization of the company. Not in the R&D, company.
Sa whole po.
A brief history of the company. So we are 40 years experience in Karachinan. And we started 2004. Actually, it's a spin from my surgery corporation. So we have the expertise in the field of processing Karachinan and making stabilizers out of Karachinan. Yeah, that's our forte more or less. And the applications is mostly on food. We started with food applications, and then later on we ventured to food and other air freshener, personal care products, and pharmaceutical lately. We're doing some software capsules for pharmaceutical application. Yeah, but we started with food ingredients.
Question? Sige po, ikaw.
Sige ma'am. Pwede po ba kami makahingi ng idea dun sa policies po ng organization tungkol po sa research and development po?
Policies. The organization namin is, we have per region. We do it per region. Okay, so we also have before, because we have a change of, we reorganized lately. Before, we have some expertise. So the personnel were divided according to, persons assigned for meat, for dairy products, for meat products. That's how we organize it. Merong sa jellies. But now, because a problem mo, pag umalis yung na-expertise ng jelly, it's very hard to replace by a novice, which is not an expert. So now we wanted everybody to know what is about jelly, what is about ice cream. So hindi siya masyadong paralyzed dun sa isang application in case na the person gets out of the company or move into another place. So nga, what we do is to do it per region. So we have assigned personnel for Americas, for Europe, for Asia. So in that case, all the analysts are also doing all the applications. So ang division namin ngayon is per region na. So we have personnel assigned sa Asia, sa America, at sa Europe. And then we are headed by, we have a head, the daughter of the owner, which is also a technically inclined person. She's a food tech. So she's heading the department. And then I am on the side because I'm working as a technical advisor. So to cater not only the R&D department, but also with regards to some technical problems and assistance, I also assist the production and the quality control. So at the R&D head, which is Miss Heidi Lee, under her is a manager. So may R&D manager. Hindi ako masyado sure about Ethel. The position of Ethel.
Senior.
So we have a senior manager. So you have the R&D, ano title mo?
Senior
Quality control.
Technical
head. So we have the technical head. Edit mo na lang Kasi we have the technical head and then we have the senior R&D manager and then we have the manager. Then after the manager, we have the analysts, which were subdivided according to region, Europe, Asia, and Americas. Yun. That's how the organization. I'm working on the side. Although, under ako sa wing ng R&D. So, I'm broken lines ako kumbaga. Not directly working with the staff. But anybody can confide. So, anybody can go to the senior manager or the manager. the role of R&D, the role of the R&D department. So with regards to the role of the R&D department, of course our function is we're a support. We're a support group to sales and to production and to QC. Kasi it all emanates from us. We develop the products, R&D makes some research to develop the product. The product will be sold by the marketing. So we support them in preparation of the sample, in the creation of the product, in the creation of all the pertaining documents that goes along with it, like the COA, certificate of analysis, the product data sheets. So sa amin lahat galing yun. For them to be able to sell the product, we have to make them understand ano ba itong product na to, what is the function of this. So all the pertinent documents are being supplied by R&D. Also, in the procurement of the materials, sometimes they need some certificates, excuse me, some technical documents we supply, like ingredient list and ingredient declaration, ganun. We supply them all technical documents na kailangan ng customers, all the certificates. And then, from there, pag umorder na yung customer, then you transfer the formulation to production. So we assist them. First, we transfer the formula, and then we assist them we also provide the product data sheet, the specifications. We have to provide the specs. So the QC knows how to qualify or to accept and reject in case there's a production error. So at first, kami support. And we also support until dun sa pag may production error. Kasi they seek help, assistance on how to do about it. So we give advice how to adjust the product. Sometimes you make some adjustment in the product. So if, for example, you have a product which does not conform to your standard specs, then we have to do something about it. The formulation emanates from us, so we are also the one responsible of, adjusting and correcting the formula. So we are also involved in investigating what happened in case there is a production error or a customer complaint. Because we also get involved in terms of quality, in the investigation and what happens, and in the solution. So that's the participation of our
May feedback po kayo from customers and pagiging in-house
yes.
involvement.
For example, there's a customer complaint and it's quality related. So we have to investigate what happens if it's a production error or what. Now, upon finding, for example, that it's a production error, then what to do about it? How will you solve? Are you going to replace it, or are you going to reblend, or, you have to correct the product. So, nandun pa rin kami. We have to assist the production. Kasi since we're the one who created the product, we know where to, for example, you have different applications, like for example, ice cream, different activities for protein, something like that. So you know which one to tweak, which one in the formula, you know which ingredient can be changed and which cannot be changed. So, may ganun eh. Sometimes if you try to adjust the viscosity, water viscosity is different from milk viscosity, so something like that. So they have to seek our advice. So we are a support group. We will be supporting also the purchasing. We also support the purchasing in case of new raw materials. For example, we created a product and we do not have the raw material from our existing materials. Then we will be the one to supply the specs of the raw materials that they have to procure.
Ma'am, ano po yung mga strategies, priorities, plans, and programs po ng R&D? Masasabi niyo po ba related po siya dun sa vision and mission po ng organization?
Always the strategy should be aligned, should go along with the objective of the company. Kasi ang objective naman ng R&D is of course to nakalagay sa policy namin to be a leader in Karachinan. So when you say you are the leader, you always lead. So you should always, as much as possible, if you can come up to be the first in introducing a product na wala pa sa competitor, Dapat kasi leader ka eh. And to be a leader, you should have a, you know, be able to maintain your quality or able to create a product which is better than what they have in the market. Hindi lang bago. So, well, yun yung challenge. That is the vision also to become a regional leader. And of course, to maintain consistent quality. So, yun. Medyo malaking demand. Kasi, pag wala ka na na-innovate, kasi research kami eh. Pag wala ka na na-innovate, research ka na stagnated. Otherwise, maunahan ka ng iba. And kahit mahuli ka, the one that you should introduce should be better than what they introduce into the market. Otherwise, wala. Very aggressive ngayon and very competitive. And especially with us, which is international, our clients is international. We're not only concentrating on the domestic market. So, you know, the global competition.
Pagdating naman ma'am sa R&D projects po, pwede niyo po kayo i-describe ma'am yung process and methods of identifying, selecting, prioritizing, tsaka yung funding po ng mga project.
We're not like a government, no? That there's some fund or ano. So, una, the sales are the one initiating the project because we're not a, it should be something already. The first assessment came from the sales because they should know, they're the one picking which market to go in. Like for example, this application is a niche market. So pwedeng hindi nila i-consider or they use it at they would consider it at the last list of the priorities. Pagbigay naman sa amin, we have our own assessment. Kasi initially, the assessment of how big the market, so the sales will assess in terms of volume, okay? In terms of application, kaya ba to? Diba? You know, like Karachinan, the biggest application is in meat. So, and in dairy. So, kung they will be the one to assist, they will be the one to assess kung malaki ba to, malaking market. So, of course, you do not want to, gusto mo agad i-hit yung malalaking market. Then, the second is the volume. Kasi minsan, malaki yung market, but the usage is too minimal. So, pwedeng hindi rin siya, Or sometimes, the competition is so, in this kind of application, is more or less, more regarding about the price. Medyo mahirap din yun, kasi price is another thing to consider. So, okay nga siya, malaki ang volume, pero para siyang bargain pala yung usapan dito is sobrang presyo. So, sometimes, you cannot make a big markup, no? Sometimes, may mga product kasi na medyo premium ang dating. May product na, also there are countries which are not so regarding about the price, but more on quality. But, there are countries also like Asian countries or which is like the Philippines. We are more in profit. Our orientation is more profit than the quality. Kasi the people cannot afford, di ba? So, kasi parang, rito, yung salary and everything. So, depende. Yung assessment na yun nasa sales. Yung bibigay nila sa amin. Pagbigay sa amin, ang assessment namin is ibang level. Ang assessment namin is the product feasible? Can we do it in the lab? You are asking us to work on, say, canned products. So, di ba, pagka you work on a canned product, you should be equipped to do it. So, ang assessment namin, are we equipped? So, we will discuss with them. So, that is the process we do. We sit down with them. We don't have equipments to do this. But it will take time to avail the equipment. So, if you're asking for a 1-week deadline, we are going to move the deadline. So, that's the negotiations na ginagawa namin. Kasi we have to avail all the materials that is needed to be able to apply the product. And also the equipments. Di ba? Kasi kung wala. Ayun, tapos we are going to discuss how difficult is the project. Kasi minsan, madali lang yung project eh. For example, water dessert jelly is so simple. Pero pag nagawa ka ng soft gel capsules, it's a different thing. You need a special equipment or you have to request some which will help you, like for example, the OSD, They will help us. So, that will take time eh. Pag jelly, we can do it in 3 days. So, yun. Yun yung ano. And then, mostly ganun. That's the assessment we do. Of course, also prioritizing, malaki to. So, kung maliit lang, nasa 1, 2, 3. So, we have to define which one we consider as priority. Say, the volume is more than 1 ton. Then we consider as priority second. More than 2 tons is priority 1. So, below 500 is priority 3. So, we have what do you call that? More or less a guide. We have set some guidelines. So, we know why we have to regard it as priority 1, priority 2, or priority 3.
Can you discuss about yung R&D management practices in terms of yung sa org structure, yung management of R&D personnel, and provision of infrastructure and facilities and other support services mo? Meron po sa organization.
Medyo madaming tanong. Yung baka hindi ko mahit lahat sa siguro isa-isa. Yung ulit tanong mo, infrastructure of
infrastructure and facilities.
Facilities. Of course, this is a company which they base their, what do you call that? You don't invest kung hindi kailangan eh. So, pag titingnan mo yung facilities namin sa lab, these are the basic equipments that we have. And we go along with how it progress. When you start, we started with a few equipments. Now, as it progressed, and maybe you have more capacity financially, we started upgrading our equipment. So, they maybe have more investment. They have more capacity to invest. So, gumaganda yung lab. So, before, maliit yung lab. So, now that we need bigger lab spaces because we have more clients, so we transfer to a bigger place. So, I mean, the growth of the lab also depends on the growth of the sales. So, yun yung namin, yung basis nila for upgrading and improving the facility. The laboratory itself is dependent on the sales. So, pag lumalaki na yung sales namin, then we start improving. Also, the equipment we buy, like for example, depends on as to whether we're going to simulate the test procedure. For example, our client demands for an AAS, we buy an AAS. We don't buy an AAS if the client will not demand for it, because if we can have it outsourced in other laboratories, so we may not be equipped with AAS because we can outsource it. But if the client requires for an AAS, pag in-audit kami, gusto niya makita may AAS kami, and we feel from our assessment that it is causing us too much cost already. For example, quarterly testing of heavy metals, because ang laki na ng sales, dumami yung kliyente. Before, maybe 1 client only required for heavy metals. But if 5 clients already required for heavy metals, then we're going to set up our own analytical lab that only for doing the heavy metals. Also like for the micro, before we don't have a micro. But since everybody's already asking for a microanalysis, then it's now becoming expensive to do a third laboratory services. So, we set up our own micro lab. So, ganun yung facility namin na bibuild sa laboratory. We're setting our micro lab depends on the demands. Then, kung dumadami yung client or more clients are required for it. So, you have more savings when you set your own lab. So, it justifies kung mag-set kami ng sarili namin lab. Pero kung maliliit lang na test and special request lang, we do not, it's not practical to do it on a regular basis, then we ask the services of other laboratory. May question ka sa una?
Ayun, yes ma'am, yun na lang po, yung sa practices nyo on management of yung personnel, R&D personnel, kumusta po mo?
The R&D, kasi R&D kami. The management naman is giving us incentives. So, pag may sales, malaki, we have a part in the incentive. So I think that's the motivating, that's a good motivation also for the R&D, for them to, to be eager to create products. So I think that's one of the management contribution to, to motivate people. I hope I answered the
Yes,
question.
ma'am.
Pero,
Apo.
organization of management? Hindi mo siya ano yung
sa structure.
Structure.
Yes, ma'am. May madadagdag po ba kayo, ma'am, in terms of yung sa or structure po ng R&D organization bukod po sa sinabi niyo kanina?
Structure.
Yung hierarchies, mga ganito po. Bukod po sa sinabi niyo.
Yung hierarchy namin, so nandun yung laboratory head, sunod merong senior R&D, tapos may manager, tapos yung mga staff sa ilalim.
Okay.
Organization eh. Another also we are, they send us to trainings and exhibits. So that's also another, they send us to exhibits to be abreast of what is new in the market. Also, they send us to some training. Like we have body training, so they know more or less how to apply the carrageenan.
Ang sa mga qualifications po ng mga R&D personnel, ano po yung mga
Qualifications.
yung
Of course, since we are dealing with food, we require for food tech, chem, kasi we do some chemistry, no? Medyo maraming chem din. And because we also, as I told you, we're also a support to the production, which is, ang process is dealing with chemicals. So that's why mostly ang meron namin is food tech and chemist. Not so much sa ibang course kasi hindi naman related. So, yun lang yung related eh. Nutritionist hindi rin masyado. Sa lab we don't have, wala kami nutritionist. So food tech and chemist.
Dito po naman po sa policies and practices niyo po regarding protection, dissemination, and exploitation of yung output naman ng R&D po. May patenting po ba kayo? May mga ganun po ba?
Kasi that depends on the perspective of the management. So if the management thinks that patent is not a business, so if to their perspective is a cost rather than to make business, they will not go for a patent. But if the management feels, so ngayon wala pang mga patents kami. Wala pa. Kasi protection lang yan ng You know why? Because we don't really, it's not really as essential as sa iba. Because our product is just one of the end product. You know what I mean? It's not a, it's an additive to a product. Hindi siya, it's not a product that you sell as is. For example, you're producing a, what do you call that? You're the first to make the wound patch out of carrageenan. Then you make it up. It's justified to make a patent. Kasi ikaw yung una. Kami, it's an inclusion. It's an inclusion to a product. So, hindi na nakikita yung product namin. It's just one of the ingredients. It's very hard to make a patent. What you can make a patent is yung process. For example,